Hey guys, Stucky here. You ever wanted to try the best version of the Action Network app? Well, now is the perfect opportunity to do so because we have a special offer to celebrate the month of March and the NCAA tournament. You can get pro access for just $9.99 for the first month. That will give you access to things like Sean Kerner's player prop projections, which are invaluable, real-time money percentages, and our model's biggest edges, and much more. All you have to do is head over to actionnetwork.com/madness. That's actionnetwork.com/madness and get there before the deal expires. Cheers. Let's shift our focus to Huntsville, Alabama for the Conference USA tournament, which was usually played in Frisco, and we could bet all the unders. They had like the curtain,
Yeah,
right? Isn't that
it
where
was like an AAU tournament. They had simultaneous games going on. It was insane.
I kind of miss it. Now we have the new Conference USA. Uh, if you recall, the Florida Atlantic won the Conference USA tournament last year. Now it's like this hodgepodge of teams from all over the country. You have New Mexico State to Sam Houston State, Louisiana Tech. A lot of weird travel for this conference throughout the season. Look no further than New Mexico State had some like home wins. I don't think they did anything away from home. Although didn't they sweep? They swept Western. Who did they sweep? New Mexico State. They swept somebody weird. Maybe it was someone bad.
They did beat Western Kentucky. They beat
Oh,
Liberty.
they swept Jacksonville State. But looking at this bracket, all 9 teams make it. There's 7 buys, or you can just say there's a playing game between Jacksonville State and FIU. Sam Houston State is the 1 seed, but they are not the favorite. The favorite is Louisiana Tech, plus 110. Sam Houston State around 4.5 to 1. Western Kentucky around 5 to 1. Liberty around 5 to 1. UTEP 11 to 1. Jacksonville State 28 to 1. And then you have your longer shots: New Mexico State 60 to 1, Middle Tennessee 60 to 1, FIU 150 to 1. We'll start at the bottom. We can kind of start crossing off some of these teams. FIU is kind of like, I look at them as they're terrible. They're not worth considering. They're like UTEP light in how they profile. They're just like a worse version of UTEP. They're bad. Middle Tennessee, they lost a lot. They're just not the same team without Weston. Ever since Weston went down, they just don't have it. New Mexico State, I got to give them credit for what they did this year, and what Hooten did. I mean, they started over everything, but they don't have the juice. Specifically on offense, Jacksonville State. Well, let's start with that group of 3. I do not think there's any lottery tickets worth investing here. Would you agree?
Yeah, if New Mexico State doesn't have that long travel advantage, then they're kind of out of it. And coming into the year, you could argue like 2 of their best players and most exciting potential guys were Brandon Suggs coming from the American, and Clarence Jackson, Monzie Jackson, had played at Wichita, and those guys are out for the year. And so like any potential like talent influx when they turned over all 13 scholarships got really limited by injuries too. So on a neutral floor where everybody's kind of even, no travel issues, I don't see them going on any kind of run.
Yeah, they won 1 game all year away from Las Cruces, and that was a 2-point win at Jacksonville State, who we'll talk about now. They're 28 to 1. They will play in the playing game against FIU. They are, Ray Harper, I like. He's a good tourney coach. He's had some success there, can change some things up. They're good rebounders, but they're so super reliant on just 2 guys. Everything they do is just, hey, Kai Tandy was a Xavier transfer and Lipscomb transfer, Quincy Clark, who does it less efficiently. They just try to create and then try to get rebounds. I just don't see it with this team. I like Ray Harper. He's won me some money in the past, but nothing for me on Jack State. Would you agree?
Yeah, I thought they were in like a home run spot to end the year. Sam Houston had clinched the 1 seed and had nothing to play for, like totally set, no at large chances, and Jacksonville State still couldn't get inside the number in that finale, with the potential if Jacksonville State won to maybe get out of that play-in game. So that kind of told me like we're not a serious team. Don't worry about us.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean they lost three straight to end the year, including a home loss to New Mexico State, which is bad. And then they also lost their home to UTEP. UTEP Liberty is the 4-5 matchup. Really intriguing game. UTEP went to Liberty and beat the shit out of them recently. Liberty, they have a really good offense under Richie McKay. They're gonna pack line principle D, but they'll force you into isolation. They'll get every defensive rebound. They do have issues on defense. They're just not super athletic. They play really slow. Their their offense with Kyle Rode, who can be a matchup problem. He's like a point forward. He can shoot. Matheny can shoot, but their defense definitely has some issues, and athleticism can give them fits, which is what UTEP did under Joe Golding. Really aggressive defense. The offense is ugly, and this is a team of complete extremes. They just want to get into like crazy games. They turn it over at 345th in the country in turnover rate, number one in turnover rate forced. They get to the line at a top 10 rate, and they send teams to the line at a top 10 rate. Just turnovers, free throws, all across the board. They cannot shoot for shit, which definitely is problematic. But they kind of just, you know, ugly up a game, make it chaotic, which definitely gives them a little bit of a high variance feel. And, they're going to be seeing them 11-1 and Liberty, plus 480. I think that's, I don't know. I would much rather have a UTEP ticket than a Liberty ticket. I mean, they're only going to be like I don't know, 4 point underdog at most, maybe shorter. And any thoughts on Liberty and or UTEP? It's hard to trust the UTEP offense, and then it's hard to trust Liberty defense.
Which is
But
weird. Yeah, you
yeah, it's
think
weird to
like
say.
a guy off the Tony Bennett tree. Oh, they've got defense figured out in the pack line, but they are the smallest team in the country. They are tiny.
Yeah.
They play 5'9", 5'10" in the backcourt all the time. Their big guys are all 6'6", 6'7". They don't have anyone towering inside. I think you can take advantage of that. Maybe that's not exactly UTEP's game, but they can bully those smaller guards. I think they had success with that when they, like you said, went and whomped UTEP or whomped Liberty on the road in a 59 possession game. It's going to be ugly. Don't watch this game. Don't watch those two play. It's going to be gross. That's pretty much all UTEP games. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't. I loved Liberty in the non-conference, and then they got into league play and just never figured it out. First 5 games of the year was like, holy crap! They won their pre-conference tournament or early season to beat Furman, Wichita State, and Vermont on neutral floors. It's like, whoa, okay, Liberty loses Darius McGee, no missed beat, but it kind of they lost the magic as they went on. And I also really like the 1 seed here, Sam Houston, and the value. So I'm not super intrigued by either the 4 or the 5.
All right. Well, let's get to the 1 seed. Yeah, despite being the 1 seed, they are plus 440. Sam Houston State. When I think of Sam Houston State and this Mudge team, I think of pressure defense. Also really good on the glass, but they closed the year winning 7 straight. So come in on a bit of a roll. What do you like about the eat 'em up Cats?
They play their asses off. It's really impressive to watch. I mean, I had a Louisiana Tech to win the Conference USA regular season future ticket, and it came down to basically the last Thursday of the year. Sam Houston State goes to Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech takes money, gets bet up from like 8 to 9.5, and Sam Houston was up 15 in the second half. Final score looks close because there's a weird like flagrant, and Sam Houston turned it over a few times, and it got kind of close, but they controlled that game on the road. And since February 1st, they're dead heat even with Louisiana Tech, and you get a slightly better draw as the 1 seed getting that play-in winner. and a much, much better price, and they have much better guards than Louisiana Tech. We'll get to them and why I think that price is stupid and insane on Louisiana Tech. But Sam Houston 5-1 as the 1 seed with maybe the best player in the league in Wilkerson, and a team that's well coached and very connected and seems to enjoy playing together. I like the Bearcats to potentially do the double here with regular season and tournament.
All right, well, I'll play devil's advocate, and so you can respond. So we'll assume Sam Houston State gets past the quarters. Good thing with Sam Houston, like you said, they play hard. They're really deep too, so could matter. You're playing 3 games in 3 days. But that 4-5 matchup. So if I were to play devil's advocate with UTEP can, like I said, number 1 in the country in turnover rate forced. That's Sam Houston's weakness on offense. They played twice this year. Sam Houston won 65-54 on the road, and they won 60-56 at home. They had 22 turnovers in that game. So UTEP just made it ugly, and it was close in the end. And then if they had play Liberty, they lost by 16 at Liberty, and then they won by 10 at home. Sam Houston's half-court offense can get really ugly. They're pretty good, and they're much better in transition when they can run and use their athleticism. But Liberty does not let you get out in transition. So do either of those matchups potentially worry you?
Liberty concerns me for sure because they also those tiny guards are typically pretty good at taking care of the ball. And yeah, you're not going to get to run against Liberty. They play 58 to 61 possessions and seemingly every game. That's not great for Sam Houston, but we mentioned UTEP could give Liberty trouble right away. And I just kind of believe in with Jaden Ray on the floor. They had a couple of games without him down the stretch, and he's important to them. And Wilkerson got banged up, but then he got healthy. They're the number 1 team in CUSA in 3-point shooting and free throw shooting. I like that in games that could come down to, down the stretch, close games, being able to knock down those free throws. So there is some concern against Liberty for sure. No ticket's going to be perfect, but again, just comparing it to 2 seed Louisiana Tech's value, I'm a home run all the way on Sam Houston as a bet instead.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Louisiana Tech at plus 110. They will start off with Middle Tennessee. Shouldn't have many issues with the Blue Raiders, who weren't even good at home. Like, they've been a juggernaut at home in recent seasons, but they just don't have anything. And Cam Weston going down killed them. La Tech they are very good. Elite rim defense with Bacho at the rim. Isaiah Crawford is a stud. They can have turnover issues, which could pop. Now the thing is, a lot of those teams are in the top half of the bracket, so they don't have to really worry about that. I don't think it's going to cost them against Middle Tennessee. Western Kentucky, New Mexico State. We'll assume La Tech gets by Middle Tennessee. They'll take on the winner of Western Kentucky, New Mexico State. Already talked about New Mexico State. Western Kentucky really stumbled down the stretch. It's like they come in here on a 4-game losing streak. They lost at Middle Tennessee. They lost at home to La Tech. They lost at FIU. Now, these were all close games. 3 or 4 were on the road, and then they lost at Liberty. But Western Kentucky, they are the fastest team in D1, number 1 in adjusted tempo. They run some good stuff. Like, I like what they run under Steve Lutz, but they turn it over too much and they get no offensive rebounds, which kind of makes their offense inefficient. So can any of these teams, before we talk about a potential La Tech Sam Houston matchup, can any of these teams, either Western Kentucky, New Mexico State, Middle Tennessee, I would imagine it's Western Kentucky who won in Ruston, which is hard to do. What do you see about the potential Western Kentucky La Tech matchup?
Yeah, Western Kentucky is really talented. It was a team that took a while to come together in the non-conference because they changed over a bunch of their roster with Steve Lutz coming in from Corpus Christi. 2 really good JUCO players that had to get used to the speed of the game. but they played Louisiana Tech super tough both games. You mentioned they did win on the road, and then the second game, they were right there the whole way. I was watching that with my clutching my Louisiana Tech ticket for CUSA, hoping that they were able to survive, and they did. They got some contributions down the stretch from Tegan Moore, the freshman. He had a huge game against Louisiana Tech. I just do not trust Louisiana Tech's guards. If they can't get the ball to Crawford and Bacho, they, like you said, the turnovers, the bad passes, they don't get you into their sets very well. Chavez is a great shooter, but he's not like the creator off the bounce. That's like all Sean Newman Jr., and he's good but not great. Shouldn't be the best guard on a heavy favorite in a mid-major league. So while they're a little like App State in the Sun Belt, like the dominant rim defense, but half court offense and guard play just are weaknesses enough to me where I think Western Kentucky could nip them in the semis.
Yeah, and Western Kentucky, like it's that with their talent, and then all of like the great motion stuff that they run, kind of gave Louisiana Tech issues, and it kind of neutralized Bacho's presence in the middle. They put up, what did they scored 84 and 81. Yeah, they lost 84 and 81 against La Tech in 2 meetings. So you mentioned Sam Houston's the value. I would agree. Watch much more about it. Stay La Tech at close to even money. No, thank you. And you would like the matchup of Sam Houston against La Tech if they get there.
They forced so many turnovers and just gave those guards hell. They were able to exploit them inside. Louisiana Tech did that to Sam Houston State. I mean, but I think it's a good matchup, and I just don't get warm and fuzzies watching La Tech. Matt Cox probably says it better, my cohort, but he's just like, they look like they're always trying to hang on to a lead. Like there's never this like killer instinct where they're gonna twist the knife, and sometimes they're losing, and that looks even worse then. But yeah, it's the ball handling, the guard play. I just don't trust it at that price. Is ridiculous to me.
Yeah, the only team that I could make a case for as a semi-long shot would be UTEP, just because I think that they have some matchup advantages against. I mean, their athletic advantage against Liberty, and Liberty's not going to turn them over a ton, which is what really kills UTEP. And then against Sam Houston, they can just make that a ridiculous game. So if you could find like these odds aren't out everywhere, but I don't know, like a rogue 13, 15 to 1 on UTEP. Just because I think that their style, and depending on how it's being called, the game. Now I hate their offense, and they're not going to make any threes, but I don't know. That's the only team that I could make a case for. No lottery tickets, but for UTEP, just based on some matchup advantages that they could exploit in their first couple of games.